welcome to the Link edition for this week. Thank you for always joining us as we try to keep our promise to give you information you can use in as far as your business is concerned and your money. Tonight we're discussing a pertinent point, especially for SMEs, focusing on the smaller end of the spectrum in the SME sector. Price. Many of you create products and services, and you struggle with the element of the right pricing, not overpricing, not underpricing, and not necessarily meeting your costs and doing markups. How do you manage all these issues? We have an expert in the studio tonight to speak to us about that issue, and we have Mr. Sam Watasa, who is a chartered marketer from Utility Strategies, and he's a consultant in management of firms. Mr. Sam Watasa, welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
Many people know you as a consumer protection
activist
person,
right.
Yeah, but they don't know you as this now. But it's nice for you to be here to share on these issues. Let's start with the first question. Pricing and getting the pricing right for a service or a product for many people is a gamble. If I was at that stage where I'm deciding on the issue of pricing a product or service, what are some of the things I should keep in mind to guide me so that I get it right?
Thank you. Maybe we need to first understand this issue called pricing.
Yes.
Because pricing is derived from price. Now, for us to be able to appreciate what pricing is, pricing is the end result of a process of transactions. Okay. Several transactions. Those include right from deciding where you place your business, it has a cost, deciding whether you rent or own, deciding what business you're going to do, deciding what products or services you're going to produce, and what they are going to cost you at each segment of your production process. So to define pricing separate from costing is important in understanding how you price. Okay. One, costing involves you ascertaining everything that is going to be taken out of you to get a service or product on the market. Now, at that point is when we start thinking pricing. Okay. Because pricing then must include all of the costs that have been laid out in the production process, but not just production, also the conveyance process from where you are producing from to where the product is going to be purchased off the shelf, or if it's a service where it's going to be consumed. So when we put together all this, that becomes our cost. Okay. Now, after that, there are things that go into what we then end up with as a price. And a number of those include branding, that is not in the initial cost of a product or service. They include how long a product is going to stay on the market, because when the product stays longer on the market, that is money tied up in the cost framework. That has to be put in place. So where do we usually get wrong? A product or service that is processed and delivered onto the market for consumers to pay for can be a result of money that is borrowed, or money that is your own. Now, this money has different costs. The borrowed money has interest to pay. That must fit in your cost formula. So, to get pricing right, one must understand each and every ingredient that goes into making a product or service ready for the market.
Without leaving out anything.
Without leaving out anything, because sometimes you might use family labor and you assume that it is free. Until the day you get into the market and you need that same labor that you pay for. So at the end of the day, if it's your son, daughter, or extended family, relative that is working on to producing your service, much as you may not pay them, you must understand what it costs for them to be there. You
must attach a cost to it.
You must attach a cost to it. At the end of the day, that cost is not part of your profit. Okay? That's because when you do that, then you get out and start, when your family friends or relatives, or when they get out and you want to pay for that labor, you will begin seeing that your cost has changed. And yet, actually, the cost is the same, but you were simply not paying for the other one, and now you are paying the market rate for it.
Makes sense.
So whether or not a person is paying for a particular cost unit, you must take care of it in your costing, so that you do the appropriate pricing.
The real one.
That means that even when the free labor has exit, in inverted commas free, it is labor you're not paying for anyway, you will still have your costing right.
Okay.
And therefore the pricing.
Okay, helps you sustainable. So I took about 3 points there, but the most important one, have your cost clear before you do your pricing.
Ideally, can you document each and everything that goes into your product or service?
Okay. Even if you I'm doing at my garage, I must do assume there's a rent cost to it.
Because something else has been foregone to be put in that garage. It could be a tenant. That is the money you put into the cost of the space you are using.
Okay. Why is it critical to get the price right for a good service or product? Why is it critical, and the word is get it right? Because if you don't get your pricing right, you get out of the market. Okay. The rule is simple. Either it's right or you are out of the market. So you can't say, why is it critical to get the pricing right? How is it critical to stay in the market? You must do the pricing right. Okay. Now, the right pricing varies. Okay. If I am going to be selling a beverage here in Serena, I am not going to be pricing it in such a way that I want someone who can afford the pricing of the same beverage in a little kafunda in Chifumbira to be part of my market. Okay. So I will do the pricing right to make sure that those ones don't access what? My facility, because I want it for a few people that may be dressed like you in a suit. So pricing is also used to determine who you sell to or who you don't sell to, or who the market is. Now, to that end, you will say pricing is right or is appropriate on the basis of whom you want to serve as your customer. Okay. Okay. In situations where the cost of production goes up, I've done my documentation and things are going up. How do I determine how high I must raise the price without causing a crash of business or chasing away customers or absorbing the price? I mean the cost, the increase. If you are already in business, how you tell that is to be able to speak to your customers all the time. Okay. For most SMEs, for instance, you do not have to be in business as a transactional issue unless you set up the business to serve a certain personal financial or economic interest, and then you get out. If you are already in the market, your best source of information for you to determine how you price are the people you deal with every day. If you speak with them, you'll understand what they're able to pay and what they are not able to pay. Now, assuming that what they are able to pay, which is your price, cannot absorb the costs as they go up, then you have to do something else. So you have to get back and begin to manage the cost. Which aspect of cost can you drop without affecting your final product in terms of value, in terms of quality, in terms of customer attraction? And here is the tip. If you have been buying tomatoes to convert, you have a small restaurant, and you go to the market 4 times a week, and the price of fuel has gone up, meaning transport to the market is going to go up. Drop your frequency of purchasing tomatoes from 4 times a week to 2 times a week. You'll end up spending less in transport to pick the tomatoes than you are spending going 4 times, even with an increased cost of fuel and transport, right? So that way you manage the cost. But of course there might be something else that then you need to introduce in order to go to the market twice a week instead of 4. That means you need a storage facility that can enable you to keep these tomatoes fresh for over the period. So then you come back and say, what will it cost me to keep tomatoes fresh at my premises vis-a-vis having to drive to the market every day? That's where the crux of analyzing your cost
lies.
Okay.
So you can actually afford to produce the same product or service by mitigating your costs that result from price fluctuation of the inputs that you use. That's how you then deal with the price even when the cost of inputs is going up. Okay. You rationalize procurement, storage, delivery.
Okay. Our final question. I know someone, who I will not mention, what they did with the same product when cost went up. It is something to eat. They reduced the amount but kept the price at the same level when it would have gone up. Is that something that works?
It works for unscrupulous business people, but it doesn't take you long before the consumer knows you are shortchanging them. Now, there is nothing as bad as losing market credibility when you are in business, because that day you will do it once, twice, 3 times, and you're done, and then you're out of business. Okay. So it's better to get the pricing right, mitigating the cost and its impact on the final price, rather than tamper with the quality or quantity of product that you are putting into the market, because what you are doing now is you are actually selling a falsehood in totality, from the price to the product to the value to the quality.
Okay. Final word, where somebody is listening and saying, the time is very short. I want to talk to that gentleman. How can you be found?
I actually provide a lot of pro bono services in terms of business consulting, because the SMEs, micro enterprises, people doing family business don't have what it costs to get professional services into their business chain. So a number of those things, just talking to a person, understanding their business, is sufficient for you to help guide them to go where they are going. So, well, they can call us at Utility Strategies. We can provide the support to a certain level where we think they need professional services they pay for. We can recommend where they go, including tax
So if I
management.
Google Utility Services,
Utility Strategies Limited, you will find you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam Watasa, known as an activist for consumers, but now seeing the other side of which I had not known personally. Thank you very much for sharing those thoughts. And viewers, if you're an SME small especially, I hope we added value to you through this conversation. That was the link. Thank you for joining us
They
tonight.
can also call 256-776-644-655.
All right. That was the link. Thank you for joining us tonight.